Hello, awesome people. I hope you are having an amazing day today. Today, I wanted to rank the 10 King of Kong films. There's 9. One of them is Son of Kong. But it is listed on like places as a King Kong film. And since that makes around 10 rather than 9, I thought it would make sense for me to add in Son of Kong. And so we're doing all 10 of my rankings. Last week, I did my top 10 Godzilla films. Thought it would be fun since they're often teamed together literally as well as figuratively. I thought it would be fun for me to knock out them in my next list and that sort of a thing for you folks. So you can also check that out if you're interested. And I've been doing a lot of sort of these older films, re-rankings and so forth. I've just recently finished superheroes. Before that, I did horror films. Before that, I did fantasy films, and before that I did sci-fi films from a bunch of different eras, and if you will, I inspired this list. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started with, and remember this is just a fast little list. I'm not going to spend that much of your time, and it's going to be spoiler free. You shouldn't go to a top 10 list and figure out, oh, I'm going to get spoiled. That's weird. Alright, so number 10 is, of course, Son of Kong. It's from 1933. It's the same year that the original King Kong came out, and so forth, and it went from the A classic film of King Kong from A film to B film filler. Very, very fast. If you think that today studios will oftentimes send out these fast films that are more about just fan service and that sort of a thing rather than an actual proper film, then this is not a new thing. King Kong was a big hit. They weren't expecting it, and so they sent out the sequel and so forth the same year, less than like 10 months later, 9 months later, something like that. It's crazy how fast they turned out this thing. It's fast. It's barely longer than an hour. It won't take that much of your time because it's a B film and so forth. They're just trying to capture that Godzilla magic again, but not doing it with the care of the previous one. So that's number 10, Son of Kong from 1933 for you folks. So number 9 is King Kong Lives from the 86. This is the sequel, just like the previous one was the sequel to the original one. This is the sequel to the 70s film, and so forth, set in the 80s. It's not really so, and it's not. I don't think it's any better. It's much better than the previous one, the sequels, and so forth. So the 70s. So it doesn't have anything more to tell. It also feels like a cash grab, and so forth because of, again, no spoilers. But the ending of the previous one, it doesn't feel like there's a great opportunity for a sequel. It doesn't go into an interesting place with this sequel and make you think, maybe what's actually happening is X, Y, or Z instead, right? I don't think that the core conceptually why, King Kong Lives makes sense and so forth, right? So for those reasons, I'm just not giving this a high ranking. It's my lowest film. It's not Son of Kong. Right, so my lowest film, if Son of Kong didn't count, and I wouldn't have counted normally, but that's sort of a thing. So that's number 9, King Kong Lives from 86. All right, the next one is number 8, King Kong Escape. It's from 67. This is a solo film from the 60s. It's done by Japan and so forth, and Toho Films, the people that made King Kong and that sort of a thing. King Kong was a huge hit in Japan, and for that reason, it's got a lot of people out there that really, really like this, and this is a more Japanese Eastern take, and I like that, and so forth. An East Asian take on King Kong. I like what they do, how they conceptualize it, how they make him an interesting character, what he fights against, his version of Mechagodzilla, that sort of a thing. I love it lots. So that's pretty good stuff. All right, so that is King Kong Escapes. It's good. I do like what it's trying to do, but it's not trying to be a serious piece of art, and I don't take it as such either. So that's number 8, King Kong Escapes from 67. Now number 7 is King Kong from 76. This is the first remake of King Kong after the first one and so forth. The idea here was to kind of modernize its special effects with the 70s to ride it, and then they also make it sort of the power energy crisis that was happening at that time at the oil pumps, and they just created the Department of Energy and energies and the OPEC embargoes and stuff like that are happening. So this is a key key time, when the energy is a key thing. And so they're trying to make it about something. And I appreciate that. Also, the main characters that are out there trying to drill for oil also aren't nice guys either. So you can definitely see this as an anti-commercial corporation and cons movie too. So it has some anti-commercial and anti. Some stuff like that to it. So I do like that it tries to give King Kong a message to it too. But other than that, it really feels like at the time it hasn't dated well at all. The special effects here are worse, in my opinion. We'll go back and watch than the original King Kong and so forth. It just doesn't stand up well, special effects wise, acting wise, the characters wise, the concept of who the female character is here, that sort of things. I just don't feel this is as strong as the other two remakes or the original two. That's why it's hitting back here at number 7. All right, top 6 time. Number 6 is Godzilla X Kong of the New Empire from 2024. Lots of fun, lots of saw it in theaters, and so forth. This is the most recent Godzilla and King Kong film. Love them lots. If I recall, this is fun stuff. It's not the best film. It's not the smartest film or the strongest film, but it's nice. It's fun. It's interesting. It'll certainly engage your time, so forth, and turn out. Again, it's not trying to have a huge message or anything like that. It's just a fun film. Appreciate it. Lots of loves. Not 5. This is the top half. Everything from here is pretty good stuff. All right, so number 5 is the second King Kong remake from Peter Jackson from 2005. I feel like because of how successful The Lord of the Rings was, that they really decided to give him sort of carte blanche to make the longer, more epic film that he had been really interested in. And they should not have given him carte blanche. It's a good film. It's fine. That's why it's hitting up here at the 5 spot. But because of how slow it is, ponderous it can be pacing, and so forth. And I just don't think that, blacks acting and characters are a great fit for the film's material, and so forth. And this isn't a film that should be that long and that tedious, right? It doesn't have this epic scales like a superhero film or an epic like that, or The Lord of the Rings that he had done previously with films this long. It's not an epic film. It's King Kong. You are doing that film disservice by just making it that long. And it's also hurting fans and their engagement too in the film too. So that's why it's sitting back there at the 5 spot. But it's good. It's a top 5 film. All right, on number 4 is Godzilla vs. Kong from 2021. This actually hit my Godzilla list at number 5, so it should be no surprise. It's also hitting here highly up too on this list. I watched it in theaters. I was in 2021. Absolutely love this film. It's a ton of fun stuff. I think the fight scenes are great. No spoilers. I think each one of them, their ending makes sense. I think it builds up tension. Love it a lot. I think this is a great film. The fight scenes make sense. The fighting itself, the CGI is great stuff. The good stuff is happening here. Again, it's not intended to really sort of engage your mind. It's not meant to be a thinky film, right? So I like some of the films that have been trying to do it. But then again, neither was the original, right? It's just a fun engagement with great combat scenes, great CGI, great stuff like that. Love it lots. And so that's number 4, Godzilla vs. Kong from 2021. Now a top 3 time. Number 3 is Kong Skull Island, a prequel from 2017. I think it's well done, well acted, well paced. Great prequel. I think the introductions of some of his antagonists on the island are great too. And I think it's very well casted. Very, very well acted, incredibly strong. Loving it. It's being set in Vietnam, the Vietnam era stuff. Love it lots. I think it's a great sign. It's great stuff. I think Samuel Jackson does an absolute well done classic part. Love him lots in there too. And that's Kong Skull Island for you folks from 2017. 2 left, and you know what they are. But what order are they going to be in? All right, so number 2 is it's King Kong versus Godzilla, rather, from 1962, and so forth. As a reminder from my previous video, I did context this. This was my number. It's also hit high in my previous list too, and the Godzilla films, because it was my first Godzilla film. It was coming on during the day on a Saturday in my local Fox station on in Southern West Virginia. So I recorded it on VHS because it sounded like it'd be a lot of fun, and I liked it. Did love it lots, and then I watched it a few times on repeat, and that sort of a thing. Loved it lots, and so it was great stuff. That was my introduction to Godzilla and to King Kong too, right? And so I thought it was great stuff. Love it lots, and so it's fun, it's interesting, it's love it lots. The things that they add to Godzilla to make him more interesting, and I think King Kong is well constructed in here too. So it's my number 2 King Kong film, which of course leaves the classic, the original, the CGI, which is of course King Kong from 1933, the same year as Son of Kong. So one of the things that's interesting here, and one of the reasons why I like it so much, is because it sort of was one of the first event films, right, from 1933, right? And it's one of the first major event films after the silent film had sort of ended, right? Everybody was going to go to King Kong to just check this film out in theaters because of its CGI, its special effects. It actually added, because of how well done it was, how classic it was, with the stop motion, it actually added a special effects best Oscar, and so forth. And the special effects in here and the stop motion, all of those sorts of things are absolute classics. Love them lots. It has to be in here. Now, I know some more recent reviewers might put Kong's Skull on here. It's number 3, or some other things from the recent things like maybe Peter Jackson's remake. But it has to be here. It has to be here. It made event movies. It put this genre on the map and made tons of money internationally too, like in Japan. Heavily influential. And they created an entire series and another film in that year, right? It has to be here at the number 1 spot for all those reasons. And because it's a really good film. It's fast. It's well-paced. It won't take that much of your time. It's good stuff. The concept's great. The ending's great. Lots. King Kong. It's my number 1 film. All right, so let's go over my top 10 again. Number 10 is Son of Kong from 1933. Number 9 is King Kong Lives from 1986. Number 8 is King Kong Escapes, which sounds similar, from 1967. Number 7 is King Kong from the 1976 remake. Number 6 is Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire from 2024. Number 5 is King Kong 2005 by Peter Jackson. Number 4 is Godzilla vs. Kong from 2021. Number 3 is Kong Skull Island. Number 2 is King Kong vs. Godzilla from 1962. And then the last one is King Kong from 1933 Classic. And so forth. So there are, those are my top, well, all of them ranked or top 10, if you will, and so forth. So there you are. So what did you think? Have you seen these films? Do you agree or disagree with my thoughts? Would you put them in the same order? What's your ranking of these films? And so forth. I'd be happy to see. I'm not a trained critic, and so forth. I'm just a fan, and so forth. I like to post these things for you folks on my Fridays. And such, right? So I'm just as interested in your opinion is just as valid as mine. And if you are a trained critic or you make movies for a living, then this would be a higher ranked. Your opinion would be more valuable than mine is. So definitely interested in that case. So just let me know your thoughts of all those sorts of things. And then, like I said before earlier, in this channel, I like to do a lot of these older things about sci-fi, horror, and fantasies. Typically I do fiction reviews of non-movies. I have 3 reviews a week of older things, and so forth in those genres, and so forth. Right now, I'm doing an H.P. Lovecraft stories, W.W. Jacob ones on Thursdays, and then there's classics in the sword and sorcery genre on Sundays. So I'm currently doing those 3s. And that sort of thing. I just published Manly Wade Wellman's 80s Cardias of Atlantis short story in the sword and sorcery genre, the fantasy, doing horror stuff too, with W.W. Jacobs. He's the guy who wrote The Monkey's Paw in 1902, and so forth, doing a collection of his H.P. Lovecraft, the absolute classics for it too, and fantasy in some ways in his dreamland stuff too. All right, so there you are. So that's basically the basic frameworks of that. And also tomorrow I have my Serial Saturday. For you folks, that's a day that I dedicate to the serial genre. That's a forgotten genre, and that sort of a thing. So I'll be doing Zombies of the Stratosphere, if I remember correctly. It's coming up on this Saturday for you folks in the early 50s. So if you like these older films or movie serials too, definitely check that out. So again, that's sort of the things. So if you like that much, make sure you check out the Godzilla films and the previous films from last week, and then previous ones on my Top Fridays, and check this and subscribe. Hit the like button too. Let your friends know we're trying to grow this channel and have them watch this and such, and we're to monetize it. And then also, and then also hit the bell icon if you're feeling frisky, be notified of my videos each week, and that sort of a thing. As a reminder, this channel is named The Worst Thing About New Books. That's a quote by a French philosopher, Jacques Joubert, who said that the worst thing about them was that they kept us from reading the old ones, right? These are definitely some older stuff. In this case, watching it instead of reading it, but you get the idea. And then finally, I want to thank you so very, very much for taking some time out of your day and investing it and watching my videos, right? Because we all have so many things that are happening, right, in our lives, and we're pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you spent this time with me, that's incredibly humbling. So I appreciate it so very, very much. And thanks again. Have an amazing day.